Hey, I want to talk about, at the moment, I want to talk about um, this thing that's under all of the chaos, all of the things that seem really exciting, all of the things that seem tragic, all of the stories, all of the labels, all of every limitation, all of every goal, all these things have something in common. And that's that they're temporary. They are things that we chase and then attach to and totally forget that they will be fleeting. Everything you've ever earned, created, have in your life will one day be gone. And I know that that sounds horrifying and morbid. And it only sounds horrifying to the part of you that will also be gone. It sounds horrifying to a story that has been created from attaching to all of those things. If you sit and just listen, you know somewhere deep inside of you that there's this calm, never changing place that exists. And that's available to connect to first. I do all the time, we connect to the things that'll go away. It's like trying to connect to a wave, getting married to a wave or creating a bank account with a huge wave in it. Yeah, but eventually it's going to go. So if you're grabbing on to something and making that who you are, you're creating attachment. And that's the key place to be if you want to suffer. Now, does that mean don't have those things? No. Those things are great, but if you make your attachment to that thing first, if you make that thing bigger than you, then you are stuck with it. And it better go your way. It better keep being that way. It better grow. It better get better. Because you will find yourself, if you are under the illusion that that thing is your priority, it's bigger than you, then you create a space where it's going to go away and you're going to be horrified of that. You're going to spend every waking moment doing everything you can to manipulate it, to keep it, to trick it. If it's your source of happiness, you have to manipulate it. You have to lie. There's a thing on my nail. That's how temporary this is. Like, my nail was coming apart. Your nail just keeps growing and falling off. And we can see that our nails and our hair are growing, and then we cut it. Could you imagine how weird it would be if you thought who you were was the current hair on your head? In like a month, you'd be crying at the barber as you mourned it, as you said goodbye to it, as you don't think you're enough because now that hair's gone and you have to start over again. And okay, we're going to have a new set of hair. And now that's who I am. And then we totally forget that it's going to go away in a month. It's going to grow and leave. And then they cut it and you're like, no. And then you mourn that hair and you say goodbye to that story. Well, that's what we do with things that we still forget are temporary. We just seem to have them for longer. A relationship is temporary. And we literally used to say at the end of fairy tales, and they lived happily ever after for forever. the the book didn't mention one of them lost the other one and then cried and went into a massive depression because at the beginning Snow White totally thought her identity was the prince and the prince thought he was Snow White. So when the prince died at 74 from some heart disease, Snow White was horrified and depressed and felt like she was nothing. And then she finally stopped suffering because she undid the story that who she was the prince. All these stories end with happily ever after and don't mention the other part. I mean, it'd be a long movie. I get Cinderella would be surreal if that was mentioned in a Disney movie. But my point is, these things have been put into our lives over and over and over again. So there's good news under that. Because if you're suffering, that means you're attached to something that you don't want or that you're scared to lose. The good news is what someone thinks about you is temporary. The good news is what someone said about you is temporary. The good news is things you're letting go of. That pain is temporary. The good news is the things that you think that you have that are so amazing are going to go away so that that part of you lets go so that you meet you even more. There's no bad news. Because when you lose something that you really thought you were a part of, which you are, but when you lose something that your story says I'm supposed to be with, you still will get to meet yourself a little more. I lost my mom 12 days ago. And of course, there has been a massive amount of grieving and crying and missing her. Oh, I miss her a lot. But one thing I noticed is an expectation that I'm supposed to be with her longer. And that I'm supposed to be with her till she was in her 80s or 90s. And just a belief that I'd been taking for granted, that was a given to me that would happen, is being chipped at. And that's also what's coming out of my tears. Yeah, I think of a story. I think of every memory in my past includes my mom almost. And I think about it. And then my mind goes, and you'll never get to experience that with her again. And I have this belief that there's a future, not just now, and that I'm supposed to have something. And I find my mind going, there's no, again, like grab onto something. Where's that story? Where is your mom? Grab onto it. Where is a place in the future? And it can't, and it like falls over, and then tears come up again. And after that, I feel more centered and more connected to what my mom really is. Because I know that she didn't die. I know her story died. I know her body died. But I know that she's in here. I'm not claiming I know where she went. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with the world teaching me that. But I can see that her body, which was always changing, my body was always changing. We have different, every 7 years, you have fully different cells and atoms and everything. It's all different. So you're already constantly dying. So she's completely here. She's here. This is the only place you actually experience anyone, even when they're alive, is here. And the only thing that died was attachment, was the temporary, was the suffering, was the opinions, was judgments, was expectations. I hope you feel what I'm feeling right now. I hope you're feeling that place in your body, and I hope that this video, from you sitting through it, allowed you to access that place in your body a little deeper. Because it doesn't necessarily take years of work, it takes awareness, and then honoring the awareness of what you are. And I want to reiterate, that doesn't mean don't enjoy the things on this planet that are temporary. Enjoy them to death. You don't have to go live in a cave. You don't have to go live under a tree. But if you bring you into it, you will enjoy those things times a million. You'll weirdly enjoy them more and be less attached and less needy to them. Because when you're really needy of something, you're not enjoying it. If you're really needy of someone, you don't even know what they're feeling. You just need them. So enjoy you, and then bring that you into the rest of the world. But start out by knowing what's really you, and what's really true, and what's really eternal. And then everything else is just fun icing.